Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have ourselves something that is extremely exciting. As you can see, we've got ourselves the Rubbersaurs Series 2 Pachycephalosaurus. Very, very exciting if you ask me, because first of all, we just don't get that many models or figures of the Pachycephalosaurus from the Lost World Jurassic Park, and we really don't have very many good ones. Whenever somebody does release one, I don't feel like they're ever all that great, but this time, definitely not the same situation, because this looks absolutely excellent, and very much so looks like the Lost World Jurassic Park Pachycephalosaurus perfectly, because it is created by Marco Makes, and if you are familiar with Marco's work, you'll know that he does every ounce of homework he can to make sure his figure looks as accurate as possible. And again, you can also see on top of the amazing figure contained within the packaging, you can also see that the box art looks great as well. Again, very high quality as it always is. I love the window area. Again, you can see we've got the Marco logo there with the Pachycephalosaurus name. And then if we turn the box around, you have incredible artwork here on the back of the Pachycephalosaurus. I believe the artwork is actually from Ted Brothers, so that's pretty cool. A little different than what we usually see for Marco, and again, it looks absolutely incredible. If you are not familiar with his artwork, you definitely should be, because he consistently posts some of the coolest images on Instagram when it comes to like Jurassic toy photography. But you can also see again some information on the Pachycephalosaurus, as well as the information at the bottom here, like subscribe to Marco Makes on YouTube, follow Marco on Instagram, like Marco on Facebook, and support Marco on Patreon. And of course, purchase more models from Marco on his Etsy shop. And you can also see that on top of course, Marco and his paintwork and everything else and his sculpting skills, you can see some thanks over here for Sora and Alex Kendrick when it comes to the creation of this figure. So very, very nicely done. I also noticed that there is actually an art card back here, something I don't really recall being included in any of the previous Rubbersaurs figures, so that's really quite interesting. Let me see if I can go ahead and get that out of there. So yes, we absolutely have a super cool card here, again showing off the same image we saw on the back, which is pretty much the perfect image for the Pachycephalosaurus, kind of recreating some of the Lost World Jurassic Park. And you can see the figure looks great, and then on the back you've got the art card collection. Love the fact that Marco is now doing this, and you can see it comes in a little plastic sleeve, so it stays nice and safe and does not get damaged. On top of that, we also have this, and as you can see, it's the package that you will get with your Marco Makes products. It usually includes this, and we'll go ahead and get this opened up so I could show you everything that is contained within, which there is quite a bit of stuff here. You've got a little Rubbersaurs sticker, and that's always really cool, because if you dedicate an entire shelf to the Rubbersaurs figures, if you are like me and you continue to try to get each and every one when they come out, that's a great thing to put kind of in the background of your shelf to, of course, show off what you have going on there. And we also have the Marco Makes sticker here for the logo, also a perfect addition to that shelf. On top of that, Marco has also given me a super cool Velociraptor blue image here. Look at how awesome that is. That was a very nice surprise, and you can see that this is a from Panini Group, which is actually really cool. I don't think this is something that us here in the United States have the opportunity to get a hold of, so I'm really quite excited to have that in there. Very nice addition. Again, as always, Marco always doing the kindest things for me, being one of my good friends. And you can see again here a Marco Makes card showing off some of his amazing figures, some of which I've actually reviewed here on the channel, like these two here at the bottom. And hopefully someday I'll get that T-Rex. I am literally dying to get that. And there it is again. Look at just consistently teasing me. Again, showing off what I could have in my collection if I could just get my hands on that Rex. But you can see again the social medias for Marco, as well as the scan code here if you want to scan that to get yourself some information on Marco. And of course, head over to his socials. Then you can also see we have here, thank you for purchasing this model. By doing so, you are contributing to my channel and helping it evolve and improve the quality of my videos and of my work. I hope you enjoy this model, which was made with care. There have been many hours of sculpting and many years of experience and studies behind the making. Thank you for your support. Again, from Marco, always making sure to thank anyone that purchases one of his models. And on top of that, just to iron out everything, you've got yourself a certificate of authenticity, just so you know you are getting an authentic and handcrafted model made by Marco Makes, and you also have the date as to when this was finished, and the Marco Makes signature down here, which is also awesome. So lots of really cool stuff included on top of your amazing figure. And of course, the final piece of this review, the final piece of the puzzle, we have ourselves the Pachycephalosaurus, and wow, is this thing ever magnificent in person. I have never, honestly, never, ever have I ever seen a better Lost World Jurassic Park Pachycephalosaurus than that. The sculpt is spot on to not only the Pachycephalosaurus that we see in the film, of course, but it straight up looks like an exact replica of a Stan Winston maquette for the Pachycephalosaurus, which I also really love. And Marco's paintwork, of course, is beautifully done, again, applying all the different coloration that you do see on the Pachycephalosaurus in the film. So I'm super excited to get a closer look at this one and just generally start to articulate it and mess around with the figure. So let's go ahead and jump straight to that closer look right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Pachycephalosaurus, look at how nice that looks. Again, when it comes to the way the dinosaur looks in the film, Marco has knocked the accuracy department out of the park without a doubt. You can see it looks exactly like it does in the film. On top of that, you can see the really nice looking scale detail. You've got some beautiful scales leading up and over the top of the eye, which he has highlighted with a lighter tone. You can also see the eye paint is perfect. You can see the orangish tone that we have there, black pupil. It's a very small eye, but it is perfectly placed right there. You've also got the dome skull for your Pachycephalosaurus up here on the top, and you can see he's done a great job of painting it out in a way where all the cracks and crevices that you see on the dome of the Pachycephalosaurus are highlighted perfectly, as he's applied a nice darker tone and then painted over that with the lighter tone that we have here, kind of like a white tone. And also the bumps and everything that move around the course of the head are also painted out with that lighter tone. You can see more of those bumps as you lead up here toward the snout of our Pachycephalosaurus, given a little bit of a different coloration. Kind of almost looks like there might be some slight hints of like purplish tones in there. And I actually even see some of that here kind of running around the dome of the Pachycephalosaurus as well. We do have a nicely sculpted beak. You can see the mouth is sculpted in an open position. We also have a nice glossy black paint for the beak, which is really cool. And it looks like the jaw articulates, which I did not realize was something that this figure had going on. So that's actually a really cool little pleasant surprise. You can see the tongue on the inside of the mouth of the Pachycephalosaurus. You can also see the teeth right there as well, and they are painted out. Same deal for the inside of the mouth on the upper side. Again, that's a very small mouth, so it's pretty impressive that Marco is able to get in there and paint all of that out as nicely as he has. And also the eye sports a nice gloss coat, if I didn't mention that previously. But as you lead down here into the back of the neck, you can see some brownish tones right there up at the top of the neck, kind of bordering on the area of all of those bumps on the dome. As you lead down, actually you can also see the bluish tone leading down from the eye right there. I was about to say about the blue here, but we do have that in the face, of course. But you can see the bluish tone picking up. It almost looks like, it looks like he's chosen two different variations of that bluish tone. We have like a lighter version of the blue tone, and we also have a darker version that is painted over top of that. You can see some nice creasing in the skin of the neck as you move down. You can also see the throat. The underside does have a nice light tone here, which you obviously can see. You can see the chest right there as you lead down. As you continue to move down a little bit more, you continue to see how nice the skin texture looks. We also have some scoots following along the top of the dinosaur, following along the spinal column. And again, the overall print quality of this is really impressive. It's very vibrant overall. We also have articulation in the arms, which you can see. The arms can, of course, move forward and back like you would see with a classic Kenner type of a release, of course, which is, as always, something that these are kind of inspired by, would be the original Jurassic Park toy line. But as you move down, actually, let's go back to the arm. You can see the sculpt of the arm looks really good. You've got the elbow there in the back. You can also see the hand looks really nice. You've got some nicely painted nails, if my camera would be kind enough to focus on that. Nice glossy black used for those nails. That all looks good. But as you move down, I was about to say you have a really nice smooth transition to this lighter tone here in the stomach region as well. You can see all sorts of skin wrinkles and stuff as you move down through the course of that stomach. Also very nice skin texture again in general. The bluish tone continues to follow along the back of our Pachycephalosaurus, also running down here into the thigh. You can see it kind of just like stripes and designs through a few areas here of the thigh. We have kind of like some larger scales moving along the front of the thigh, down over the knee into the shin. You can also make out the muscle definition of the Pachycephalosaurus, the calf as well, and then you'll lead down into the foot. You've got some nice scoots running down through the toes, actually down the foot, down into the toes, and then of course the nails again painted with a nice glossy black. And actually, before we even leave that area, you can see we do have dew claws, and of course they're painted. But then we move up here, you can see we have that light tone starting to kind of taper off here as you lead out toward the tail, and the blue becomes a striping effect as you move out through the course of the tail. And you can see the tail leads down and then curves up, and you often see the Pachycephalosaurus, when it comes to like, concept art and maquettes and stuff like that, always positioned in this way where it's sort of standing up tall for a moment with the tail leading down. So I really do like the way that the tail is positioned because, again, it perfectly recreates that. But the tail looks really good, the skin texture looks really good, and the paintwork, of course, also looks really good. And before we go too far, again, you also have the articulation in the legs for the Pachycephalosaurus as well. Again, classic articulation, very much so like an extremely realistic looking and extremely well painted version of a almost classic Kenner type of a toy, which is what these always remind me of. Marco's Rubbersaurs always have that feel, again, that classic Jurassic Park feel. But of course you can see that everything over here looks pretty much as it did on the initial side. Again, you can see the eye paint is beautifully done, the beak and everything looks good, the paintwork and sculpt work moving down looks great as you move through the entire figure, and again out toward the tail. And one of the most fun aspects of the figure is the fact that it is a rubber, again, hence the Rubbersaurs name, so you can kind of bend it. The entire body has that kind of softer feel. Not so soft up here, definitely hardens a little bit as you get up closer to the top, but you can see the neck and everything can move a little bit. The legs and arms, though, are a harder material. Same deal for the beak. But overall, that is an absolutely spectacular Pachycephalosaurus, and definitely the best Jurassic Park Pachycephalosaurus I now have. As far as a size goes, for a length from the beak to the tail, you're looking at about 8 inches or around 20 centimeters. And then for a height to the top of the dome, a little over 4¼ inches or right around 11 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pachycephalosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A Human Being, next to our Marco Makes Rubbersaurs Pachycephalosaurus. And you can see it does have a really quite nice size to it overall. It is pretty much exactly size-wise where I was expecting it to be, so that's a plus as well. But for another comparison, we've got a Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus, which you can see next to the Pachycephalosaurus is quite similar in size, again helping to show you roughly what the size is. It's pretty darn similar in size to one of these figures. Then for another size comparison, we have the Mattel Hammond Collection version of the Pachycephalosaurus next to the Rubbersaurs version, and I think it's pretty obvious who wins this round. The Rubbersaurs version from Marco is far more accurate than the Hammond Collection version. Then for another size comparison, we have one of the more mainline versions of the Pachycephalosaurus from Mattel, which you can see is a little bit larger than our Marco Makes version. And then we've got quite the throwback here with the Stygimoloch from Mattel, but you can see roughly what the size is next to the Pachycephalosaurus. Again, very similar in size. I will say, looking at that Stygimoloch from Mattel, it's actually pretty sad to look at that figure because look at all the paint on that. You can see painted nails, you've got tail paint all the way out there, paint running through the course of the entire body. Sad to see the way that the paint has decreased on Mattel figures and how good they used to look. But again, that's not why we're having this video. Again, it's just a look here at this moment is a comparison again between these two figures, showing you roughly what the size is if you happen to have that Stygimoloch from Mattel. So this brand new Marco Makes Rubbersaurs Pachycephalosaurus is absolutely awesome. Every single Rubbersaurs release is awesome from Marco, but again, he's done yet another great job of sculpting this out to look exactly as it does from the film and, of course, from all of the material we've seen from Stan Winston Studios. He has also kind of given it that kind of maquette type look, I think, with the positioning and the way it's, kind of standing, though you can, of course, alter the pose when it comes to the articulated legs. You can have it more kind of like in a running position or standing up tall. It's really up to you, but the sculpt looks beyond perfect, if you ask me, and the detailing throughout looks fantastic. It's very vibrant, very impressive print quality, especially for being on a rubber material. And on top of all of that, again, the paintwork is really well done. He's perfectly captured the likeness of the Pachycephalosaurus, but I love the fact that he's painted this out where it still kind of looks like it would be a toy, but an extremely high quality toy, where he's added so much realism to the paintwork on top of the sort of toy-like look. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds, like a perfect mixture. And of course added in elements of realism like the gloss coats on the eye, the inside of the mouth and stuff, even on the nails. And again, all of the paintwork is extremely smooth. And then of course you have articulation. You don't have a ton of it, but you definitely have some nice articulation, pretty much your standard when it comes to a figure like this. And the fact that we have an articulated jaw was a nice surprise, because for some reason I didn't realize that coming into the figure. And the fact that it is a rubber is awesome, because it gives you that real feel that if you are a fan of the Kenner line, you're going to love. So if you are interested in grabbing one of these for yourself, I don't know for sure when Marco is going to be creating more. This, of course, was sold after the launch of his video when he had created this. And again, I don't know when he will be putting more up, but I would like to think he will at some point, fingers crossed. So I will, of course, link you in the description to all of the accounts of Marco Makes, especially the Etsy shop, where you can head on over there, check out anything that he does have for sale, grab anything that he has up, and of course, keep checking the Etsy shop for future releases as well. And like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.